everybody to Crick Tracker's special show in the air with me Nivedna Prabhu. Of course, हम Crick Tracker पे once again जुड़े हैं आपके साथ to discuss the second T20I. अभी पहला जो T20I रहा, we did see a high scoring game. And at one point, everybody felt like India was going to win that one, but we know what happened over there. जहाँ पे David Miller and of course Dustin went on to change things for the South African side, where they won the first T20I. लेकिन रात गई बात गई. I have my cricket guest back in the show to tell me कि उनके हिसाब से क्या होगा. Pratay was a very realistic fan. He wanted Team India to win, but he did say South Africa would have the upper hand. But Chirag, as always, will be supporting Team India, चाहे कुछ हो या ना हो. So I will come back to Chirag first because we didn't have him, on our show previously. Chirag, welcome back to In the Air. Of course, you were disappointed with the first match ka result, but going into the second game, who are you placing your bets on?
अभी देखो फर्स्ट मैच में क्या हुआ कि अब इंडिया के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखो ना, कुछ चीजें पॉजिटिव भी थी. अभी ईशान किशन का फॉर्म, हार्दिक पांड्या का अच्छा कमबैक बैटिंग से, और बॉलिंग से थोड़ा एक्सपेंसिव रहे, पर ये अच्छी बात है कि वो बॉलिंग कर रहे हैं और काफी लंबे टाइम से कर रहे हैं. तो आप वर्ल्ड कप में उन्हें एज एन ऑलराउंडर देख सकते हैं. और कहीं ना कहीं जो थोड़ा बहुत चूक हुई वो थोड़ा ऋषभ पंत की कैप्टनसी थी, पर एक मैच के बेसिस पर आप उनकी कैप्टनसी को जज नहीं कर सकते. बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस थे कि चहल के 4 ओवर्स क्यों नहीं कराए, पर्पल कैप होल्डर थे, और बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस की उनकी स्ट्रैटेजी ठीक नहीं थी. पर हम देखते आ रहे हैं कि उन्हें दिल्ली कैपिटल्स को बहुत अच्छे से लीड कर रहे हैं. तो वो गलत था कि एक मैच के बेसिस पर आप जज कर रहे हो कि कैप्टनसी खराब थी. वो ठीक हो जाएगा, लेकिन बॉलिंग का कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा वो जो पॉइंट है, वो इस मैच में अगर बॉलिंग थोड़ा सुधरती है तो हाँ, ये मैच में चांसेस है इंडिया के. अब पर अभी देखो, ये नहीं है कि अभी हम ये एक्सक्यूज दें कि यंग बॉलर्स हैं, कि अभी एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है. अभी आप देखो कितना एक्सपीरियंस है, आईपीएल खेल कर आ रहे हैं और क्वालिटी मतलब अंडर प्रेशर खेल कर आ रहे हैं और इन्हीं बैटर्स के सामने. तो अभी ये एक्सक्यूज नहीं दे सकते कि यंग बॉलर्स है, एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है. वही कंडीशंस हैं, वही पिचेस हैं. तो बॉलर्स को स्टेप अप करना पड़ेगा अगर इंडिया को कम बैक करना है सेकंड मैच में. तो हाँ, मुझे लगता है हो जाएगा.
ठीक है, तो चिराग ने वो बोल दिया है, like I said, he is going to come back, seeing the positives of it, and why not? I mean, ultimately he wants Team India to win this one. But on the other hand, we'll come to Pratay to talk about some pointers that definitely did not give India the result that they wanted, especially in terms of number one, of course, the South Africa side, Markham was missing because of that COVID-19 situation. But दूसरी तरफ, one talking point, I mean, Shreyas Iyer did not do that on purpose, but that drop catch has become, the highlight, or rather the conversation is still on. And in another context, Wasim Jaffer also opined on his game as to how he really needs to change it against fast bowlers. So combining these two aspects, Pratay, I'll come to you. What is Team India going to be looking at? Let's also talk about the points from the previous match, which they should not be repeating in the second.
See, I think in this format you have to be. I mean, there's an old saying that catches win you matches. It's a big cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. अगर आप कैचेस छोड़ेंगे ऐसे मौकों पर, और इस तरीके के खिलाड़ियों के जैसे डेविड मिलर या वैंडर डिसन है, तो वो आपको कहीं ना कहीं दे विल मेक यू पे द प्राइस. एंड दैट इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इवन ही वेंट ऑन टू से, दैट आई हैड टू मेक हिम पे द प्राइस बिकॉज ही हैड टेकन अ लॉट ऑफ बॉल्स. And after that, he knew, because at that point in time, it was still a situation where India was in a position. It was still kind of 60-40 maybe you can say, because David Miller was going pretty well from the other end. But Van der Dussen, we saw that he was struggling and he was not going to able to get into his momentum. At that point in time, had he been dismissed, because the next 15 balls, he ended up scoring close to 45-48 runs. So in that context, you never know. And, one wicket at times brings you another. So you never know, I mean, what could have happened had that catch been taken. And I mean, specifically out of all people, Shreyas Iyer dropping that catch was a bit of a surprise, because he's generally considered to be a very safe, safe fielder and a safe pair of hands. But then these things happen. I mean, what you have to take care about is that not repeating those same mistakes again. You started the show saying that raat gayi baat gayi. In this format, I mean, see, you have to forget the past, but you have to also ensure that you do not end up making the same mistakes that you made in the same game. Because in this series, I don't think that India need to win this series, because there's not that much riding as far as India is concerned. Because like we talked even in the previous game, that this is more of a series where you're trying to find and figure out your combinations. You're trying to test your bench strength, because there are so many first choice players who are missing out. So this is one of those series where you are trying to kind of find some answers to the questions. In that process, if you're going to lose a couple of games, no one is going to hold you up by your neck. But the thing is that you still want to win. You're playing at your home. You don't want to lose out on series. Shreyas Iyer, I mean, he is a great fielder. These kind of things can happen, but on the front of his batting as well, I think did not have the best of IPLs. But if you remember the right before the IPL, that he had a blast against Sri Lanka. I mean, 3 matches, he was the player of the series in that series, if I recall it correctly, and he was not dismissed even once. Back-to-back half centuries, so he was in form. But again, during the IPL, it's a long tournament. You have the leadership responsibility. Things can change. So I think that he can still make a quick turnaround. But one thing that Shreyas Iyer needs to now understand is not just his batting aspect and everything else, that the competition that is building up. Because before the IPL, you did not have Deepak Hooda in the scheme of things. Now, suddenly, in the fourth or fifth spot, there is Deepak Hooda, who has had a brilliant season with Lucknow Super Giants, and now he wants to kind of make a spot for himself. So now suddenly Shreyas Iyer has a couple of competitors. There's no Surya Kumar Yadav right now. He is one of the people who can kind of vie for his spot. There is Deepak Hooda as well. And on the point of Wasim Jafar, I think, I mean, it's well documented that Shreyas Iyer is someone who likes to play against the spinners. I mean, even in the IPL, if you see, he was kind of enjoying batting against the spinners, against the pace, against the shorter balls. He has had some sort of chinks in his armor, which I think that this is a great opportunity. I mean, this series for him to kind of solidify those things. But I think still from the previous game, I don't think that India should be losing any confidence. It's a new day. If they play well, they can very well come back in this game.
All right. So, if of course those mistakes are not repeated, and Shreyas Iyer is probably looking to get all the catches tonight, agar unke paas aaye. Another aspect, of course, apart from catches, like Proteas said, makes a match or does not make a match, are partnerships as well. We'll get talking about that a little bit later. First, let's talk about the fact that what is the head-to-head between both these teams. If you could take a look and just tell our viewers what it's looking like. Out of the 16 matches that these two countries have played, India has a slight upper hand, having won 9 of them, and of course South Africa having won 7. Now, quickly, let's take a look at the probable 11 of both these teams going into today's game. And I will come to you, Chirag, with the combination. If there's one player who you think would be proving dangerous for South Africa from India's end and vice versa, who would you pick?
मुझे लगता है ईशान किशन फॉर्म में कम बैक कर चुके हैं, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं पिछले मैच के फॉर्म को इस मैच में भी लेकर आएंगे। अच्छे टच में दिखे थे। वहीं अभी देखो जितने भी बैटर्स पिछले मैच में सभी ने अच्छी बैटिंग की, तो बैटर्स अच्छे फॉर्म में, नो डाउट। तो साउथ अफ्रीकन बॉलर्स के लिए सिरदर्द बनने वाले हैं बैटर्स। पर साउथ अफ्रीका आप देखो, टेम्बा बुमुआ पिछले मैच में अच्छा खेली, स्टार्ट अच्छा था पर जल्दी आउट हो गए, अनलकी रहे। और क्विंटन डिकॉक अच्छे टच में थे। तो बैटिंग दोनों साइड से स्ट्रांग है, तो बॉलर्स को बच के रहना होगा।
ठीक है। I'll come to you, Pratay, on this little aspect. If we look at the predicted 11 for South Africa, perhaps Markham was that only unexpected change last, in the first match because of the COVID situation. But talking about that partnership, which proved to be very dangerous. Now, if that again gets going today, we know all the bowlers were pretty expensive. Nobody could actually get that breakthrough. Do you think that would again, make it a break it situation for South Africa or India?
Well, definitely. I think, because the kind of form that David Miller has been in, even Quentin Decock, even he had a good IPL. So I think that even at the start of the series, we were discussing that South Africa are at a full strength. So they do not have a deteriorated squad. And that is the case with India. So I think that India have to bring their A game, because there are so many players that you are not having at this point in time. This is again a series that you are trying to test your bench and the fringe players. So of course, they are going to make mistakes. That is what exactly this series is for. But again, these are not entirely new set of players, because they have played a lot at the IPL. Whether you're talking about Arshdeep Singh, Umran Malik, they have not gotten the chance. But even the new faces are not entirely inexperienced. They are not players who have had absolutely no experience of professional cricket, or they have just suddenly come up out of somewhere, couple of performances here and there, and then they have got a chance to play. So that is not the kind of situation. These are proven performers in the IPL. Yes, the international exposure is of course missing, which is why they are now playing in the series. But I still think that, yes, if you talk about the kind of partnership, because in the previous game, if you have to pinpoint one thing where India lost the match, apart from a couple of obvious things, the biggest of things was the partnership between these two. Because जब आप 212 रन अगर आप बनाते हैं, देखिए रन सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं था कि हमने ही बनाया, साउथ अफ्रीका नहीं बनाया. We also scored the runs. That means that probably the track was something, the shorter boundaries and all of that eased things out for the batters. But I still feel that a couple of wickets, a couple of lost chances was the reason where I think that India lost the match. Like I said, that I mean, had that catch been taken, I mean, hindsight, we can not exactly judge what would have happened. Probably South Africa could have still gone on to win the match. But I think
Yeah.
these kind of chances cannot be missed upon. And secondly, I think David Villa, the kind of form that he has been in right through the IPL, had a brilliant season with Gujarat Titans. Van der Dussen has again, I mean, whatever little opportunities that he has got, he has also shown himself to be a promising player. And after that kind of a knock right at the start of the series, when you get that kind of thing, you become confident. You know that now you have got a knock, so you enter the second game with that kind of a confidence. So I think it's important for India to strike early, not lose out on catches. And I still think that, I mean, there are 4 matches to go. Had it been a 3 match series, then you are suddenly under pressure, because once you lose the first game of a 3 match series, you have to win both the games, quite obviously, to win the game. But now, right now, you still have 4 chances. So I don't think that they can take it one game at a time. And I don't think that there is any reason why India should think that they cannot win the series.
All right. On the other hand, the update coming is that South Africa have won the toss and opted to bowl. Now, we'll have to just wait and watch again in this particular match. The decision is going to be in their favor. But Dusri taraf, of course, when any match happens, one thing that we all look forward to, like I always tell you, is social tracker. So without wasting time, chaliye dekhte hain what are the tweets that are doing the rounds, and of course, Chirag will take us through them. So let's take a quick look at social tracker पे ऐसे कौन सी tweets are doing the rounds about the match. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would also be discussing about Pant's captaincy and looking forward to the same to see if he's learned his mistakes from the previous one as well. If we could have a look at what those tweets are looking like on our screens. Of course, over here, Delhi Capitals having spoken about game face on, the skippers all set for the fight in the second T20I. Good luck and best wishes to everyone at Cricket Odisha for the big game tonight, is what Wasim Jaffer has tweeted. Kolkata Knight Riders have said raring to go. All right, that's what we have on Social Tracker, which means that the game mode is completely on. Doesn't matter who you're supporting. But now let's talk a little bit about the playing 11 for Team India. Yahan pe there are no changes, so there's probably no surprises. Although a lot of people were thinking that maybe Umran Malik might get that opportunity, but Proteas has said maybe not yet. Maybe probably the 4th or 5th match we might see that happen. But dusri taraf Proteas, Quentin Decock has a hands injury, and Tristan Stubbs is also out. Reza Hendricks and Hendrik Klaassen are in. Now, is this a huge setback, or do you think with the people that they have in, it's covered up?
We'll see. I mean, in this series, we've had already quite a few injuries coupled to India, Kuldeep Yadav and KL Rahul going out. Quentin Decock, I think that they're definitely going to miss him because, of course, I mean, the kind of batter he is, as I said, that he had a great IPL, and he is someone who has the knack of playing quickly at the top of the order. So I think yes, this is a bit of a setback. But Klaassen, I think, will be replacing him for the wicketkeeper slot. Tristan Stubbs, I think yes, he had a brilliant. I mean, the reason he was in because he was phenomenal. I mean, in the domestic T20 tournament of South Africa, and because of that, he kind of just got into the team. So I think he would be probably slightly maybe let down because he got a chance. Aiden Markram falling to COVID-19, he comes in, just maybe gets one game and then goes out. So I think that maybe he could have been given another game. But apart from that, I think they also the fact that these kind of calls are taken depending on what kind of track you are playing on, what kind of situations are. So maybe it could be a tactical change as well from South Africa's end. Quentin Decock, but I do think that yes, that would be a big setback because he's quite an experienced player, played a lot in these conditions, know the Indian bowlers well, and because he has played a lot of IPL, so he's quite acclimatized with the conditions as well. So I think that yes, this will be a big setback. But now it kind of evens a little bit in my opinion, because India already has a lot of experienced players missing. Now one goes out of South Africa, so that just kind of brings a little bit more evenness into the contest.
That's right. Because of course of injury concerns, we're seeing so many different things that are happening. It's also disappointing because KL Rahul on one side and Quentin had a good IPL 2022, so we would have wanted to see that being replicated for the national side. But before we dive into further in this conversation, Abhi says hi. Hi, Abhi, from all of us at Cricket Tracker. I see a lot of you are already making your predictions. Hilal has said that South Africa is going to win, but Kumar has said India जीतेगा. आप दोनों में से किसका prediction सही आएगा वो मैच के बाद ही पता चलेगा. But coming back, talking about the match, a little bit about the pitch. Considering Wasim Jaffer also spoke about the fact that this would be played at Cuttack. I'll come back to you, Pratyay. A little bit about the pitch. What can we expect over here?
See, traditionally, if you're talking about Cuttack, it's been one of those tracks which is usually slow. I mean, it's pretty much on the slower side. A couple of T20Is that have been played here as well were low scoring encounters. So, probably, I think that yes, spinners will be in action again. Yuzvendra Chahal did not again have the best of games in the previous one, but I think this track would be a great one. In fact, when South Africa and India played last time here, he performed exceedingly well. So I think that he's one of the key bowlers to watch out for. Shreyas Iyer, again, we were talking about him. I feel that yes, this kind of a track where the spinners, because he's a great player of spin, so I think that he has a good chance to make amends as well. But I still think that I'm not expecting too high kind of a scoring encounter like we saw in Delhi, because the boundaries are not as short here. And when you're talking about Cuttack, I mean, it's pretty much on the slower side. However, this surface has also been relayed, so we will have to see how it plays out after being, I mean, because of a couple of changes, and it has changed its base and all of that. But I still think that it should be pretty much on the slower side, and spinners should be more in action as compared to the pacers.
All right, so it would probably be the day of spinners. And talking about that, a player batter that we can look forward to is Chahal versus Miller. Let's hope that Indian fans don't get another killer Miller show. यहाँ पे 9 dismissals and Miller's only scored 55 runs against Chahal. But दूसरी तरफ, approaching milestones, if we could take a quick look, Chirag can take us through those milestones as well as according to him, कौन सा possible है, Chirag से भी पूछ लेंगे. Let's take a quick look at the milestones and over to you, Chirag. Tell all our viewers कि ऐसे कौन से milestones हैं और आपके हिसाब से which one is achieved.
क्विंटन डिकॉक ये तो पहली बार हो चुके हैं, तो ये वाला तो लेते ही नहीं. कगिसो रबाडा को सिर्फ एक विकेट चाहिए 50 T20 विकेट्स कंप्लीट करने के लिए. आई थिंक ये डूएबल है. अक्षर पटेल को 2 विकेट्स चाहिए 100 विकेट्स कंप्लीट करने के लिए. ये भी हो सकता है. प्रत्या ने बोला कि स्पिन विकेट है, स्पिन को हेल्प मिलेगी, तो ये भी डूएबल है.
Right. What about
और
this?
ये वाला तो ये तो हो ही जाएगा नहीं. ऋषभ पंत 1 6 चाहिए टू कंप्लीट 100 सिक्सेस अक्रॉस फॉर्मेट्स. ये तो हो गया.
ये तो हो गया. चलो, he's not even waiting for the match to start. He's like, हाँ, ये तो एक ही है, ऋषभ पंत ही है, छक्का ही तो मारना है, उसमें कौन
वो
सी
भी
बड़ी बात है.
वो एक हाथ, उनके एक हाथ का काम है. एक हाथ का काम.
हाँ, एक हाथ का काम है. How does it matter कि according to Chirag, he's not going to get out before hitting a six. So वो होगा या नहीं होगा, like I said, we have to wait and watch.
ये
But
तो
coming back
होगा
to
होगा.
sorry
जितना
Chirag, क्या
उनको
होगा?
क्रिटिसाइज कर, मैं कहा ये तो होगा होगा. जितना उन्हें क्रिटिसाइज कर रहे हैं कैप्टनसी को लेकर, तो कहीं ना कहीं होगा कि अब की बार मैं प्रूव करने वाला हूँ कि मैं क्या चीज हूँ. तो ये होगा.
I think पंत और उनके फैंस को अब पता चलेगा कि विराट and his fans go through what, when it was all about the context of not performing in captaincy. But that's on a lighter note, so Virat Kohli fans don't come for me, or even Rishabh Pant fans for that matter. But before we wrap up today, I'm very happy that all our viewers are giving their predictions यहाँ पे कि कौन जीतेगा. A lot of you are saying India. I only see 1 or 2 people saying that South Africa is going to win. But before we wrap up, let's find out from our cricket guests who they think is going to win. I know Chirag's answer, but फिर भी पूछ लेते हैं. चिराग, आपके हिसाब से कौन जीतेगा आज?
इंडिया और इंडिया पक्का.
India. Okay, Pratay, what about you? What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I think it started on an unlikely note, but I think that India is going to bounce back in this one.
प्रत्या ने कह दिया अब तो पक्का है.
Sorry, Chirag?
प्रत्या ने कह दिया अब तो होगा. बहुत सही प्रेडिक्शन देता है हर बार.
उनको ऐसे ना हम प्रोफेसर प्रत्यय बुलाते हैं हमारे शो पे, राइट? Predictions have come
अब
true.
तो ज्यादा एक्सप्लेन भी नहीं करा, सीधा बोला इंडिया, तो मतलब है चांसेस.
So maybe ultimately what could be a setback for Team South Africa, we have to see whether they will come back in that momentum, or 2 of those players not having the service of them unke liye padega bhari. And from of course the Indian side, what are we going to expect from the captaincy aspect as well as all the bowlers coming together in this particular match, learning from their previous mistakes. ये सब देखने के लिए of course the game time is just a few minutes away. So before we wrap up, I want to thank everybody for joining me. I see Myra Khan saying South Africa. So okay, join us in the post-match show. We'll find out if your prediction has come true or not. Thank you everyone for joining me. We will see you on the other side in the post-match analysis of the second T20I between India and South Africa.